Yo, what's going on, fellas? It's your main man, Six Pass Dunga, back again with another reaction video. So, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I've been a little bit intrigued about the whole MOMOSHIKI situation, especially since we haven't seen the continuation of their conversation. I don't know why IKEMOTO cut it out. He might have something very exciting in store for us. That's the only explanation I have as to why he wouldn't continue that conversation going into the next chapter. So just that tells me that there's something big that's about to happen. And one of the things that could happen is the awakening of the Jougan. Is it very likely? It's not, but anything is possible. I do see Boruto getting a huge power amp soon, and I mean very soon. The way things are going, a lot of characters are surpassing him, like Kawaki. JURA already was stronger than him from the get-go, and you got characters like SARADA and Himawari rapidly catching up to that level of power. It might take Himawari a bit longer, but you guys get what I'm saying. So therefore, you have to give your main character a power buff or some type of training arc so they can reestablish themselves in the story again. That's what I expect. Now, Momoshiki is going to be the key to that happening. It's going to happen one way or another. And when we look at a character like Kashin Koji, right, who has the strongest form of precognition and clairvoyant power that we've seen in the series yet, I think he's going to be a major factor into that. He already knows about the conversation that Boruto and Momoshiki had, so whatever they planned, Koji is always in the middle of it. He's always in the middle. That's why I said he's one of the most important characters in the story. He's as important as Boruto is, just because of that ability alone. So what do we have here? Koji secretly restrained Boruto to awaken Jougan, the truth behind Momoshiki's prophecy. I got requested to watch a video. I'm guessing a decent amount of you really like the reaction videos because I feel like they're a little bit more interactive than the normal analysis and theory videos. My only problem is keeping them at a manageable length. So that's within like 15 to 20 minutes. But at the same time, nobody complains about it. So I'm really thankful for that. You know, I could just sit here and yap to you guys and you know, just sit here and listen. But yeah, without further ado, Shark Anime, I'm gonna leave the link to his channel down below in the description. That's one thing I do. Whatever video I react to, I make sure to give credit to the original owner and ask them if it's okay to react to the video, you know, just so there's no confusion anywhere. So yeah, all that info will be down below in the description. Make sure you guys go sub up to him. This video currently has 101 likes, including me, you know. Let's try to get that to 150. Let's see if we can do that. But anyway, without further ado, let's hop into it.
Kashin Koji doesn't want Boruto to master or awaken the Jougan. In other words,
really?
Koji is actually hiding the absolute power of Boruto's pure eye. Yeah, that's quite a controversial opening statement for some fandoms, but yeah, that's just how.
Yeah, that's some hating-ish, Koji. All right.
Rather strange things that are, of course, full of question marks. After several arcs, especially with the revelations in chapter 26, have you ever thought about it, or maybe felt suspicious and curious? I mean, we know that Koji deliberately created a scenario where some of Boruto's friends had to be sacrificed and die on the battlefield just to awaken Sarada's power. And at this point, it seems like Koji's direction or priority is already becoming pretty obvious. Boruto's friends fall into the criteria or priority list where each of them must awaken their own powers, starting with Sarada.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the whole plan. And I've been preaching that from the get-go. A lot of people don't realize what Koji is doing. And those of you who know, you guys know. Basically, every single one of Boruto's comrades is having their own awakening. Sarada with her MANGEKYOU Sharingan, Himawari with the Nine Tails, then you got Kawaki with his limiters. Even though Koji didn't really have anything to do with Kawaki, eventually everybody is going to have to get that one power-up that's going to put them on the level of the Shinju. I mean, Sarada proved that she's on that level once she defeated Ryu. To defeat JURA, everybody's going to have to work together, but everybody's going to have to be on a specific level to be able to deal with his power. So the same goes for Mitsuki. Eventually, he's going to get some type of crazy power up other than Sage Mode. Maybe it could be a form of an enhanced Sage Mode or whatever, but eventually it's going to come to that point. Himawari already has Kurama. All she needs to do is just train and better her synchronization with Kurama. Eventually it's going to come to the point where Boruto is going to have to unlock that Jougan, but we just don't know when that is. Not even the Jougan. It doesn't even have to be the Jougan. It could just be a form of just getting more powerful. Some type of amp. Just being able to use the karma is an amp. So that could be it right there. That could be Koji's way of strengthening Boruto.
before we actually get to the main point, I think there are some interesting things we should dig into a little deeper first. I'm sure some of you are wondering who Boruto's top priority is besides Sarada, whom Koji
That fit is
should
clean.
guide to
I always
obtain
liked
or
Araya's
awaken
outfit.
power,
That fit
right?
is clean.
Then
Like if
why
I was a
doesn't Koji
ninja,
tell Boruto
I would
about his
rock that.
friends, especially how to awaken their powers. I mean, are there no alternatives other than sacrifice and death? And must they choose such a tragic path? Also, what if Boruto himself helps his friends awaken their powers so that they can assist Boruto in his mission to save the world? Yeah, honestly, this might sound a little ridiculous, especially if Koji has to tell Boruto about his friends and how they gained their powers without having to sacrifice their lives. Logically, it definitely won't be that simple. However, looking at various arcs, for some reason there are several examples that make us curious, such as Boruto or Kawaki. I mean, Koji did say in chapter 13 that he would teach Boruto some of the jutsu he had mastered in the future, so Boruto could learn them and, of course,
He said
accelerate the
jutsu?
improvement of those techniques. But what techniques are those exactly? Because the last time we knew, the Hiraishin technique that Boruto mastered, Koji said it was the result of him accidentally creating his own version of space-time ninjutsu.
And it's crazy because I still think we haven't seen every move or technique that Boruto learned throughout the time skip. Obviously, we know the techniques that Kashin Koji taught Boruto, or assisted in that manner anyway. Of course, we got the Flying Raijin, the Uzuhiko. All Koji could do is teach Boruto the moves he already knew in the future. It's not like he's teaching him anything new. Those are all Boruto's moves. And at the same time, I don't think the only thing that Sasuke taught Boruto was Kenjutsu, or the ability to stream purple lightning through your sword. I mean, even before the training, Boruto already had a decent understanding on purple lightning, and he was proven to be able to use it. The only thing that Sasuke taught Boruto, or we seen that he taught Boruto, was to be able to stream it through his sword. There's other moves that Sasuke taught Boruto, hence why he said, I taught you almost all the moves and methods that I know. And I'm gonna leave it up here on the screen so you guys can see. He taught Boruto almost all the moves that he knows. And one of Sasuke's most basic moves and techniques is Fireball Jutsu and Chidori. Obviously Boruto can't use Chidori, so he probably taught Boruto how to use purple lightning in a similar manner to Chidori. And we've seen Kakashi do it. So yes, there's a possibility, a big possibility, that we haven't seen all of Boruto's techniques. Obviously, he has access to Momoshiki's techniques via the Karma Seal, but that's very different than what I'm talking about right now. He has to be able to use the Karma to access that. I'm talking strictly Boruto's techniques. And this is where it stems from, right? If Koji has all this future knowledge on the moves and things that Boruto learned in the future, obviously he would know about the Jougan, right? But my whole thing is, even if he knew, there would be no reason to tell Boruto because it's not something you can train to unlock. You can't train to unlock the Jougan, it just has to happen. And if Boruto knows about the Jougan before it happens, it may not happen. Remember what Koji said in chapter 16, to know the future leads to the act of destroying it. Once you know a certain future, you can't act as if you didn't know it. And if you know the future, it can become that much harder to predict. So if I see a future where Boruto unlocks his Jougan, I'm not going to tell him about it. I'm just going to do my best to steer him in that right direction. I don't want him to know this, because if he does know it, there's a sliver of a chance that it won't happen. And if it doesn't happen, then the planet is doomed. If Boruto unlocking the Jougan 100% has to happen, then Koji is steering the future right to the point where Boruto has to unlock the Jougan. He knows the certain conditions that is needed to unlock it or awaken it or whatever. All he has to do is encourage it. That's it. He doesn't have to tell him how to do it, tell him how to unlock it or what it does. All that will be revealed in due time.
Also about Kawaki, I can say that Koji didn't mention Kawaki, who should have had a great chance of winning or having an impact on helping Boruto by revealing the limiter that should have been removed, but instead, Koji didn't reveal or leak the way to obtain his great power. As proof of this, Koji himself was a little surprised and considered that, essentially, Boruto was cunning, and Koji didn't know what he had already told Kawaki a few days earlier. Because Kawaki's arrival on the battlefield to help Boruto was the point where Koji no longer knew what Boruto was doing or what his plan would be moving forward.
Yeah, true.
I know you might be wondering too, then where did Boruto learn about Kawaki's offense that was adjusted by Amado if that information didn't come from Koji, right? And this is probably what will become the plot twist later. But if the source of that information really was Koji, then why did he act as if he didn't know what Boruto had told Kawaki?
I mean, there is a possibility that Koji could have just told Boruto, like, yeah, Kawaki has limiters on him. He doesn't have to know that Boruto and Kawaki had a physical conversation where he told him about his limiters. Koji could just be surprised that Boruto had acted off the information he told him. Now, I'm not saying that's the definite answer. I'm just saying that is a possibility, which is why Koji said, yeah, very cunning Boruto, because I didn't expect you to go to Kawaki and actually tell him about his limiters so soon. It did come in handy because it ended up saving you against JURA.
And this is what makes me curious. I mean, we know that the hottest theory in recent weeks is MOMOSHIKI, but more precisely, it is the influence of Jougan on MOMOSHIKI itself that becomes absolute control or a counter and the like, where Jougan can become the dominant point to suppress MOMOSHIKI itself. Yeah, in other words, Jougan could be one of the answers if the worst happens to Boruto, and that power will save him. And all of
that is the hottest theory behind the Jougan
arc when Boruto was training his Hiraishin ability. In short, there was a point that Koji mentioned about how 6 years later, he would manage to master it.
However, in this context, he was talking about space-time ninjutsu, but according to his words, he considers the flying Raijin a form of space-time ninjutsu, which it is. It is a form of space-time ninjutsu because it still offers teleportation, like a regular rift would offer Boruto. Like he said, he manifested it several times in the past, but they was all like flukes. You know, he didn't really know what he did to activate it. So he did master it, but it's not in the form of how an OTSUTSUKI would do it. So that's the purpose behind this whole flying Raijin training flashback. Of course, I'm not trying to go against what he's saying. I'm just trying to offer some more clarification on that to you guys. But it can definitely have something to do with the Jougan if he's trying to link this to Momoshiki. And of course, Boruto's OTSUTSUKI power.
In context, Koji was referring to the Hiraishin ability. But at least if the Jougan does need to be trained for several years to be mastered, then Boruto can have time to train first. And of course, this is the same as the Hiraishin that he trained before, finally mastering it perfectly. Right? Well, regardless of how this scenario plays out or...
So yeah, that's another option. Blind training. He could be training Boruto to be able to master or hasten the awakening of the Jougan, but Boruto just doesn't know it. By making Boruto go through all this training, the flying Raijin, the Uzuhiko, all this could be secret training for the Jougan. Now, not training specifically, but just physical training so your body is prepared for it. The abilities of the Jougan is another thing. You know, he's not training specifically for the Jougan, he's training to prepare for his awakening. It's just like My Hero Academia. Let's just use that for an example. Before Deku could inherit One for All from All Might, he had to literally train his body so his body wouldn't just tear apart once he transferred One for All to Deku. It's sort of like that. And in a way, Koji could secretly be doing that for Boruto.
Perhaps the way to awaken Jougan cannot be done by simply telling Boruto that in the future, he will master the greatest eye power. Just like the Hiraishin ability.
It's no point in doing that.
Not, usually, and as it should be, whatever triggers the power of dojutsu eyes, like Uchiha and the like, there must be some kind of emotional trigger. So if Koji told Boruto about how the Jougan eye should awaken, then there wouldn't be any surge of emotion rising with Boruto, because basically
that makes sense.
That kind of emotional outburst can only appear automatically from the bad things Boruto experiences unintentionally. Right? This pattern doesn't only happen to Sarada and Boruto. Himawari also has the same pattern. If Koji told Boruto that Himawari had Kyuubi chakra, would Himawari immediately master the power of Kyuubi chakra and successfully prevent Inojin's death at that time? I don't think so.
Although I do believe though, even if somebody told like Himawari about her Kyuubi chakra, she would still awaken to it right here. Nothing would change here. I feel like this fight would still happen. And side note, I really do think this fight is going to be really good when it gets animated. Like just look at this. Like, I do think this is going to be a really good fight. Even though Himawari gets pretty much stomped, I do think it's going to be a good fight. Like, it's really underrated. But when it comes to the Nine Tails, it's not something you have to awaken. You kind of always have it. With Dojutsu, it is kind of different because you literally have to awaken the Sharingan. Like, some Uchiha are incapable of awakening the Sharingan. With the Nine Tails or just being a Jinchuriki anyway, you kind of always have that power It's more about how to tap into that power. And it just turns out that anger and emotional arousement is one of the best ways to be able to tap into that power. But nonetheless, it's the same concept. I see what he's saying. And that's how it is with most power. You have to just get angry. So any emotional trigger, maybe a death or something, can cause Boruto to awaken the Jougan. Or maybe if it's not a death, maybe it's a situation that Boruto has to overcome by himself. And if he has any precognition of that event, it's not going to happen. Or maybe it just won't hit the same as Koji intended it to.
Power in Himawari's body can only awaken if there is an extraordinary emotional trigger within her, and that emotional outburst could only be drawn out through the sacrifice of Inojin's life. This also means that Jougan will only awaken if Boruto experiences a tragedy or extreme emotional turmoil like Himawari and Sarada. The question is, when and how will this scenario unfold? Is Koji the mastermind behind the scenario he is going to create? I mean, is Kashin Koji preparing some worst case scenarios for
Nah, I don't think Koji would do that though. I don't think he would go that far. But at the same time, he probably would. I mean, he proved it to us though. He proved to us that he's willing to sacrifice people for the good of the future. So I can't 100% say that Koji wouldn't do that, because I'd just be wrong. Cause let's say in order for Boruto to awaken the Jougan, he would need Himawari to be sacrificed. That would be so crazy, but it's something I can see Koji doing. Obviously, Boruto better not find out about that or its clips. Like, he was mad about Yodo. Imagine how mad he would be about Himawari awakening the Jougan or not. So I don't really know if I can see Koji going that far. Like, I get it. He has shown us that he's capable of going that far, but me personally, I think that is just a bit too far. Especially since Himawari has great potential for the future. It doesn't even have to be Himawari, it could be somebody else. It could be someone like, let's say Sumire or Sarada or something like that. Someone that Boruto has grown to love. Let's say Boruto and Sumire develop a relationship in the future, and then Sumire just dies or something like that. It could happen. Since Sumire isn't as vital to the future as Sarada or Himawari, Koji might say, you know what? Since I know Boruto is gonna get stronger from this, I have no problem. And who knows, there might be an ability the Jougan has that might be able to manipulate time to prevent that death. So all in all, it could be okay that Koji is willing to sacrifice Sumire or something like that. But you know, that's just me yapping. But you know, that's just me yapping. It does make sense in my head though. It does. You know, videos like this do a good job of getting me excited for what's to come. I cannot even lie.
Koji seems to prefer some of the worst possibilities that will certainly trigger Boruto's emotions.
He does.
So that also means that
he does. He prefers one of the worst possible scenarios in every situation.
On purpose or by coincidence. Rather, there are several worse scenarios that Boruto must go through. But besides that, there are also other triggers that are certainly still related to Momoshiki himself. Losing everything is not as simple as we see in Boruto's fate, who is considered the killer of the 8th Hokage, and has also lost his friends and family. But it seems
the
that
7th Hokage,
losing everything that Momoshiki refers to is more than that and more painful. Like the death of friends or even family, or friends being trapped and turned into a tree. Because in my opinion, death or being trapped in a tree, like Sasuke, is a trigger that makes Boruto experience extreme emotional turmoil.
It could be Sasuke too. Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Out of those possibilities,
oh my god, it could be Sasuke. Oh, wow. Yeah, if Sasuke doesn't live through this, that could be a catalyst to awaken the Jougan. But anyway, I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. Very insightful. Yeah, shout out Shark Anime for this one, bro. Hey, he got it. So for the people who saying that the Jougan is a myth or it's not real, there's no reason the story would ever tell you something like that right now. When the awakening finally happens, that will be the moment you know about the Jougan. Because nobody's gonna outright and tell Boruto about the Jougan, nor is anybody gonna talk about it because they don't know. The only person who knows about it would be Koji, but there's no reason for him to talk about it right now. So as it turns out right now, the Jougan is still a big mystery. Congrats. Pretty sure you guys all knew that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or concerns or any ideas, theories you guys want to share, go ahead and put that in the comment section. I'm probably going to read the majority of them, so let me know what you guys think. And before I get out of here, let me just say one time again, Shark Neme. I'm gonna leave the link to his channel down below in the description, so make sure you guys go check him out. He does make good content that I think you guys would enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, if you liked this video and wouldn't mind seeing more like this, make sure you guys leave that like, comment, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so you get notified whenever I upload or go live and chat the spoilers. And until my next one, I'm gonna see you boys and girls later, and I'm out. Peace.